On 18th, 1873, Susan B. Anthony had been arrested and fined $100 for voting in the presidential election of 1872. Anthony was a women's rights activist and lived her life fighting for gender equality.
She gave this speech to publicize her arrest. Since it was clear that any citizen may vote, Miss Anthony wanted the country to see how absurdly women were being treated.
In 1873, women were classified as citizens, but they were degraded and treated as if they belonged to men. Susan B. Anthony recognized the inequality and was one of the brave women to speak out for justice.
A hateful oligarchy of sex, the most hateful aristocracy ever established on the face of the globe, an oligarchy of wealth where the rich govern the poor, an oligarchy of learning where the educated govern the ignorant, or even an oligarchy of race where the Sakon rules the African, might be endured, but this oligarchy of sex, which makes father, brothers, husband, and sons, the oligarchies over the mothers and sisters, the wife and daughters of every household, which ordains all men sovereign, all women subjects, carry dissensions, discord, and rebellion into every home of the nation.
This quote from Miss Anthony's speech is so powerful because of the allusions that she makes throughout it. She compares sexism to many different oligarchies, one of the more powerful being race. Her words, or even an oligarchy of race, where the Salkin rules the African might be endured, alludes to the racism taking place in America during this time period. Just before she gave this speech, slaves were freed in Puerto Rico, and African Americans were not yet given equal rights in the U.S. In this quote, she says that the issue of men ruling women should be even less endured than whites ruling blacks, which expresses the severity of the issue of women's rights. In addition, Miss Anthony uses the anaphora oligarchy many times throughout this quote. This is effective because it makes it clear that the government is not a democracy and there are injustices in the way politics take place in the U.S.
It was we the people, not we, the white male citizens, nor yet we the male citizens, but we the whole people, who formed the Union, and we formed it, not to give the blessing of liberty, but to secure them, not to the half of ourselves and the half of our prosperity, but to the whole people, women as well as men.
This quote is one of the most famous quotes ever written and delivered by Miss Anthony because of the effect it gives to the audience. She uses logos by explaining that the Union was formed by women and men and that all the rights that were written out are to be given equally amongst both genders. They are there to secure the laws that were set out on the Constitution. Miss Anthony provides a clear message across in this quote. Women are whole, men are whole. One does not belong to the other.
Towards the end of the speech, Susan B. Anthony states, "The only question left to be settled now is, are women persons?" It is impossible for anyone in the audience to hear this and not question the way that women were treated in 1873. This is what made Miss Anthony so efficient when it came to women's rights. She used the audience's emotional appeals to fire them up by being direct about what was going on. She would voice the awful inequalities, making the audience feel compassionate and motivated to help.
As mentioned before, she had delivered this speech after she had gotten arrested and fined for voting in the presidential election. Miss Anthony saw this as an opportunity to deliver the speech. Her goal was to reach out to the younger generations of women that there can be change and there will be change. This speech also helped provide another point of view to the men that were oppressing her, to plant the seed in their minds that they are being illogical. Miss Anthony advocated all her life for women's rights. She was one of the first steps to the women's rights movement.
Being persons, the women are citizens, and no state has a right to make any law or to enforce any old law that shall abridge their privileges or immunity.